Hey guys, AJ here, back with another one for you. So today we're going to talk about some political foolishness, right? And for those of you guys who don't know, I'm from the West Coast, okay? I'm from Seattle, born and raised. And I would never, ever move back home, ever. I would never move back to the West Coast. Think about it. At this point, the entire West Coast can just fall off into the ocean. Think about it. LA, shithole. San Francisco looks like Mad Max right now, you know? And then Seattle, homeless encampments, crime, theft. But the worst offender of them all is Portland, Oregon, guys. Portland, Oregon. I'm telling you, everyone thinks LA, California. No, Portland, Oregon is wokety wokety woke. And it looks like the Walking Dead. All right? So guys, they're working on a bill that they're trying to pass that would allow homeless people to sue the city if they're ever arrested or moved from their homeless encampments. Yes, guys, you heard that right. Okay? So, guys, I have a couple articles here and a news clips. We're going to get into this. But before we do, please remember to like, subscribe, drop a comment because it really helps to keep this channel going. Okay? And hit the notification bell. Now, guys, there's a lot of homeless people and drugs on the West Coast. Okay? So, Seattle, Portland, it's bad. They've been passing all these silly laws that basically there are people moving from other states, Utah, Nevada, Montana. They're moving to Oregon, Washington, because they know that it's easier for them there. They even have a town that gives homeless people in Montana free tickets to Portland, Oregon. So here we go. Oregon bill would allow homeless people to sue residents if they are quote unquote harassed. Okay? Oregon Democrats have put forth a bill that would allow homeless people to sue residents for harassment. So you're paying your rent or your business mortgage trying to make a living, and some homeless person can sit and do drugs and poop on your front lawn, and there's nothing you can do about it. House Bill 3501, also known as the Right to Rest Act, would allow aggrieved parties to sue for $1,000 for each incident of harassment. It would also decriminalize homeless camps. Guys. Guys, you just have to laugh because this is so dumb, right? This is so dumb. Look at that. And this is right underneath is an article called Portland Residents Report Moving to Avoid Homeless Encampments. So there's people leaving the city to get away from homeless encampments. And this is where they're selling drugs, openly doing drugs. They'll catch fire. There's essays and grapes. You know what I'm saying? Okay. So the bill comes after several years of worsening homelessness crisis, and many residents complain of harassment and improper behavior on the part of the homeless population in cities such as Portland. So the regular citizens are complaining, but the government is placating to the homeless. That makes sense. Look at that. Look at that. Guys, I'm going to plug a Facebook page called Seattle Looks Like Shit. Check them out. It's a group of people that go and take a bunch of pictures of how bad Seattle looks. It's terrible. So the bill blames homelessness on economic hardship, a shortage of safe and affordable housing, and the inability to obtain gainful employment and a disintegrating social safety net system. Isn't that crazy how a city and a state that has more social safety nets than anyone else is saying that they don't have enough of a social safety net? Isn't that nuts, right? It is declared to be the public policy of Oregon to ensure persons experiencing homelessness, right, participation in the social and economic life of this state, and remunerative employment, use of free movement within public spaces, participation in and receipt of the benefits of the services and programs and activities of the state government and local government, and housing accommodations of the person's choice without discrimination. What this basically means is If you pay taxes and you work, you got to pay for these lazy SOBs. That's crazy, right? It defines harassment. So this is what they can sue for, guys. It defines harassment as a knowing and willful course of conduct directed at a person experiencing homelessness that a reasonable person would consider as serious, alarming, tormenting, or terrorizing of the person experiencing homelessness. Now, guys, all of that is subjective. But a lot of these homeless, they're on drugs, they have mental problems. So you're basically giving regular people objective punishments or consequences for a subjective perceived crime by people that are out of their damn minds. Here we go. Meanwhile, local residents have complained of increasing crime and harassment from the homeless populations of Oregon's main cities, especially Portland. In December, a homeless man was arrested after shoving a 3-year-old girl onto the Gateway Transit Center. So the girl, she was waiting for her train with her mother. Many residents have reported of feeling urged to move for the first time, saying the homelessness crisis makes life unbearable. It makes you not feel that great about living here. It makes living in the neighborhood harder, not as congenial as it would be, says 30-year-old Portland resident Greg Dilks. He said about the homeless encampment along the Pennsylvania Crossing Trail near his home. Look at that. Now we have another article here. Look at this. Homeless people can sue for $1,000 if quote-unquote harassed under new Oregon bill. A newly proposed law in Oregon would allow the homeless to sue municipalities for as much as $1,000 per violation. So that means, guys, if someone's stealing from a store, they're homeless, and you tackle them to the ground, they can give you harassment, assault, all these things to a homeless person who was a thief, and you can have to pay $1,000 for each. Okay, they could pay as much as $1,000 per violation as part of a new initiative to decriminalize homelessness. Sponsored by the Beaverton area Democrat Farah Chachi, who I guarantee doesn't even live in the city, guys. Watch. Because all these people passing these laws don't live in the areas or the neighborhoods that are the most affected. They don't look out the window and see homeless encampments and stuff. Otherwise known as the Right to Rest Act, would allow anyone experiencing homelessness to use public spaces in the same manner as any other person without discrimination for their housing status, including the right to reasonable expectation of privacy, even if they're living in a public space. Guys, there's no expectation of privacy in public. That's why people can film you in public, right? And just think about how nebulous all this is. That's what happens with people who tend to do this woke stuff, is they make everything nebulous so that nothing has any meaning, so no one can be held to any standards, right? Those experiencing homelessness would be protected from harassment, citation, or arrest by local police, public or private security personnel, or even employees of local governments. A proposal, Chachi said, is an effort to end the practice of punitive policing against those just because they're poor. It's not because they're poor, it's because of the crime that comes with homelessness and junkies everywhere. And it's just trying to say that the police can't arrest them either. Guys, this is going to look like Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome, dude. If you guys haven't seen that movie, guys, I'm telling you, dude, when they had Bartertown, matter of fact, hold on. Mad Max Beyond the Thunderdome. Let's look at this. Look at that, dude. Look at that. Look at how long ago this was. This is gonna be downtown Portland. Yeah, you guys are gonna go down to the local Starbucks in downtown Portland, and you're gonna see this. Oh man, oh man, oh man. That's how it's gonna look, man. This is gonna be the highway out of Portland. You're gonna see friggin' a young Mel Gibson walking down the road. Oh man. All right, all right, all right. I digress, right? Those found in violation of the law, they would be subject to compensatory damages or $1,000 per violation, whichever is greater. A group of homeless people take shelter from the rain under I-5. Look at that. There are more than 220 local laws in Oregon criminalizing homelessness. It's not homelessness; it's the drugs and the junk and the violence. That which effectively means if you're ever unable to afford housing, you don't have friends or family that you can crash with or rely on for shelter, you are criminalized. They should let this Shachi person live near one of these homeless camps. How about that? Chachi, who called her bill number one priority in the stream, said that the legislation is unlikely to pass this session. Thank God, right? Having already missed a number of key deadlines and a sense of compassion fatigue that has taken root in the Oregon State Legislature this session. So compassion fatigue is basically they're trying to pass this woke stuff, and like, guys, this isn't working. I guarantee that comes from people hearing from their constituents. We don't want this. But then they're passing this stuff to be compassionate, and it's not working. So meanwhile, federal data show that Oregon experienced a 27% increase in the number of people experiencing homelessness between 2020 and 2022, the fourth highest total in the nation. It's not the only piece of legislation targeting homelessness this session. The Oregon legislature has approved $100 million in its upcoming budget for homelessness services and housing. And the thing is, guys, research how California has done housing for the homeless, and you'll see they have a lot of housing, but they say that you can't do drugs. So people, or you can't bring any type of drug paraphernalia, so these people don't go. You have all this housing sitting there empty, all because they won't let them be junkies there. Crazy, man. Absolutely insane. Already, so the bill has received some pushback. In testimonies submitted to the committee, some expressed concern about the prevalence of drug use among some of those that are homeless and feeling unsafe walking around the streets of places like Portland and the state capital. Now, guys, I'm from Seattle, but I also lived in Olympia, which is the capital of Washington State. It's the same in Olympia, the capital of Washington State. There's drugs and all types of stuff. Look, so the laws could also potentially create problems for cities to enact emergency orders like Portland did during the 2021 wildfire season, when the city prohibited homeless people from camping in forested areas, which they should have done, right? Here we go, guys. Others criticize the bill as out of touch with reality, citing the failure of previous legislation. Now, I'm going to stop this here, guys, but here, there's a couple of, this article. Look. A couple people left some comments here. Said, we're barely hanging on to some semblance of public order in the current climate. One commentator wrote of the bill. How on earth did you expect this kind of dangerous rhetoric to push the needle forward? This is borderline lunacy. You don't have to step a few blocks in any generation to see how bad things are on the streets of Portland, let alone harden laws in favor of people who are clearly struggling with making any kind of thoughtful decisions on their own. Another person said, stop trying to make this situation worse than it already is. Invest in the damn services that were promised as part of 110. So promoting Portland to be a beacon for a safe space or the sole arbiter of homelessness in the U.S. is not only dangerous, but it's also immoral. Wow. Look at that. They were not alone. And all 534 people who wrote about the bill as of Monday, including more than 300 from Portland, were opposed to its passage. Just 5 said they were in support. So, guys, if it's supposed to be we, the people, it shows that in cities like this, it's not the case. And, guys, we have a news clip here, and then we can wrap this bad boy up. Let's see.
There's a relentless rhythm on the streets that's become routine, affecting everyone, regardless of where they sleep.
Felt like, well, I'm just a worthless person sleeping out on the street.
We've heard Charles Lindsay's story before. Homeless since he was 18, and his campsite cleared by the city.
And I lost just about everything I owned.
Done real cold-blooded.
Josephine Allen is still fighting to get her things back after her camp was cleared a year ago.
It makes me feel emotional right now because it's really a sad thing out here. It's true. They don't really realize people's lives is at stake.
And that is true. They don't realize people's lives are at stake, but it's the businesses that are getting burglarized. It's the people whose homes are getting broken into, that are being assaulted, that little kids have to walk through the park and accidentally step on a needle. Those are the people whose lives are at risk.
A proposed bill by 2 Democrats in Beaverton and Portland aims to change that. It's called the Right to Rest Act, and it would make removing unsanctioned homeless camps on public property illegal, and even allow homeless people to sue for $1,000 if they're harassed or told to leave.
Absolute clown world. So, listener, subscriber, close your eyes. Visualize this. You save up money to open a storefront property in Portland. Oh, yeah, I have a bike shop or whatever. Or I don't know what, I sell scones or something, right? It's opening day, you're doing good, and then some homeless person sets up a tent right near your front door and is constantly begging and harassing and doing drugs. This means that you can't kick them out. Clown world.
As long as there was nowhere else for them to go. But the bill missed the deadline to advance.
There's always somewhere else for them to go. Over there. Away from me.
This legislative session.
If a bill like that was passed, that would definitely be a headwind for us.
Kurt McCandless runs a bike shop in Old Town.
Everyone's entitled to human rights, but when it comes to trying to just be a normal business.
Guys, I'm going to make a video about this guy. His bike shop has been broken into like 7 times. The last time, because he had bars, they backed a van into his store and stole like $60,000 worth of bikes.
This, trying to cater to especially tourists and people coming from out of town, it can be frustrating to think that it would be more difficult to move people from our storefront when we're trying to do our business here.
Now, the Right to Rest bill has been introduced multiple times. We talked with one of the co-sponsors over the phone today, and they say while the bill won't be passed during this legislative session, they're still going to hold public testimony on it this week. They say it's important to hear public conversation around issues like this and to further this type of legislation, because last time it was introduced, they only got 15 minutes of public testimony, and this week they're hoping for much more.
Oh, they'll get a lot of public testimony now. Straight up. Guys, I'm going to keep an eye on this because I want to see the actual like town hall meetings and public testimony, because I guarantee people are going to be pissed off.
You know, we should weigh all the options, and, you know, bringing these bills to attention and kind of putting it through the ringer as far as public input is concerned is important.
Hundreds of people statewide have already submitted written testimony. The overwhelming majority oppose the bill.
Look at all that, guys. Look at all that. Portland used to be a nice place to live, man. You know, it was kind of like, you know, Colorado Springs or, you know, or whatever, like, it's one of those cool, like, kind of touristy places where you can go do things, and I don't know, man.
How many of those are housed? How many of them are the business owners that are more worried about getting a few extra dollars than...
How many of those are housed? Oh, please. And of course, this is the perfect example, guys. A person living on the street since he was 18, but probably hasn't had a job. And he's criticizing these greedy business owners that are just trying to get a dollar. They have to make ends meet. They have to feed their families. They're not just just sucking off the system like this. This guy. This is the ultimate example of the have-nots trying to talk trash. Those who can't talk, those who refuse to, talking trash about those who are already doing.
And their fellow man out there dying on the sidewalk.
Some argue more support for mental health and addiction treatment will be what it takes to reverse this routine that's currently.
Look at that, you guys. Look at that. Oftentimes, guys, these camps will catch fire, and then it'll take like 3 or 4 fire trucks to put it out.
Forcing homeowners out of the city and homeless people into despair.
So we're people, we're not animals, and even animals need to be loved.
The public hearing is on Thursday, and those behind the bill say they plan to introduce it again in future legislative sessions. Blair Best, KGW News.
So guys, let me know what you think. Let me know if you would ever go to the West Coast at this point. I'm talking LA, San Francisco, Oakland, Portland, Oregon, Seattle. Because I wouldn't. You know, I'm never going back home, guys, ever. No thanks. This isn't cool, man. It isn't. And if you live in Portland, get out. Get out. Move anywhere. Move where it's not so rainy. You know what I mean? But get out as quickly as you can and don't look back. All right, you guys. This is AJ. I appreciate you guys. I appreciate your support. Like, subscribe. I'm out of here.